Let's go, Andrew. Come on. Today we're talking about Heide Modern, Reed's House 1967, or Heide II, by McGlashan Everist.
One of the best houses in the world, arguably the best house in Australia. Leave a comment.
Roll intro.
We're doing the boy band. Sup, y'all?
The brief was to design a house in the landscape that's ageless, timeless. It has to have walls as the major element because it's meant to function as a gallery as well. And it is a celebration of inside and outside, this connection of walls going into the landscape and defining it.
And it is full of really clear lessons. Lessons that we think may have been lost by a few people. It's also a house that is known so well by the older generation, but not really known that well by the younger generation.
And definitely not known interstate or internationally.
Which is odd, but there's so much to learn here. And what I think is fundamentally important about this house is, like so many good pieces of architecture, it appears simple in how it's executed and its set of rules, and through that simplicity you get an amazing amount of beautiful complexity.
It's also very hard to photograph or video this place. It's impossible to take a hero shot of this place.
Which is important. That actually says something about the quality of these series of spaces. Like if it is just a decorated box, that's really easy to take a hero shot of. If there's a much more subtle series of spaces, that's really hard to document unless you're here. So come here, come and have a look. Heide Modern, it's the coolest place ever. We're walking through a series of blades, Mount Gambier limestone, we'll come back to that, that are just sitting in the landscape. What is inside, what is outside, we're not even sure yet. Turns out there's a building on that side, we don't know. And then we come into this linear space, the entry of the house. Now you think about most houses, street, path, front door, very clear delineation between what's inside and outside. Here, we walk along a little path that becomes an elevated bridge. Glass wasn't here previously. So you just open out onto the landscape. And then when you come to the front door, not the original door, but glass, looking through again to outside. An exterior that's bounded by the same limestone walls. So there's a real already, are you sure whether you're inside the house or are you outside the house? It's really unclear.
Also, from the entry, on our right there, that's basically the sleeping quarters, and then to our left are all living quarters. So, Andrew, you want to take us in?
What's interesting about most of the circulation paths too is they end in a view to the outside space, except for this one, which ends in this huge void, which we'll come back to. Let's have a seat though, in the little nook. Where are we now, Kev?
We are in the Hiko, I think they call it, the conversation pit. So this is basically the hearth of the house. You step down into this, it's got this really, really rough raw wool carpet and a huge arse fireplace. You just have books above here as well. But yeah, this was designed as a conversation pit. In fact, there were actually seating, more cushions around this side. So it really felt like a special space. It's the only place you do in the whole house that actually steps down, and it's at the timber floor, right? Well, no, timber floor, but with wool.
Yeah.
Everything else is tiled. This is quite a soft space.
Yeah. Conversation pit, entry coming through, balustrade, walkway, big wall of glass that isn't connected to the floor. There's a void there. And then there's boundary walls out in the garden. So there's kind of a choice here. You don't even need to have the glass line here. You could have it out there. But what is the important lesson here is the wall doesn't necessarily define what is inside and what is outside.
And you can see the frameless glass there too.
Everywhere
Very frameless.
there is frameless glass. Now, Mount Gambier limestone interesting. I always thought they picked it because it's fancy. But at the time that they built this, McGlashan and Everest were famed, weren't they, Kev, for building with speed, designing and procuring with speed.
That's right.
And so this was advertised as something that was, what, 5 times?
5 times easier to work than timber, 5 times quicker to lay than bricks.
Marketing.
And you don't need to finish it, and it's timeless.
Yeah. So then that lends itself not only for buildability and getting it up really quickly, but it also allows you to do this. If this is a house that's all about blurring what is happening inside and outside, look at what the skin's doing. And I think too many people do this. They go, this is the outside cladding, and then we have a waterproofing line, whatever it is, whether it's glass or not, and then, oh, let's plasterboard or do a different interior material. Again, you could take this glass away and you could move the boundaries walls, the waterproofing line wherever you wanted. You could get rid of it completely and it can be just like this beautiful ruin, which is actually how it feels. Like that word ageless that you said about the brief, that's what they've gone for here. It kind of feels like a ruin that they've placed glass into.
Yeah, and it ages quite well too. Well, some people would think it looks dirty, but then it's like a ruin, right? It is meant to look like antiquities.
Yeah.
I think an interesting thing about the flooring as well, the module of the tiles, you can barely see it, but yeah, all the horizontal surfaces are tiles and they're perfectly finished. Exactly. Here's 4 tiles across, exactly.
Look at this corner.
Everything is so perfectly calculated. That's 2 tiles across.
And so these, how big are these, Kev?
300.
300. So that means that this opening is only 600. Which is not very wide. It's actually the same width as my stair at home. Like, you've just got to choose. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright thing, isn't it? Well, it happens with lots of designers, is where you compress somebody so that other spaces feel big.
And that's to the bathroom, by the way.
So that's,
which is awesome in plan, is that beautiful squiggle.
Yeah, it's this little corkscrew.
Yeah, you want to show me on show on the plan. Where's the plan?
Kevin didn't print out a plan. Instead, he wore one. So here's Heidi.
And here's my squiggle. Anyway.
What I also love about this material is it's porous. Like, as you said before, it doesn't need to be finished. There's a cost saving there. But it also means that you see where people have touched it. Again, people might say it's grubby and dirty, but it tells a story about the life of building. You know how you go into these older buildings, like...
Oh, with the stairs.
Where the stairs are worn out. This one actually, because of the softness of it, actually shows where... You know, people have kind of grabbed this to go, oh, I'm about to go down the stairs. There's a story in the material which is really beautiful that hasn't been scrubbed off. At this point, originally, there was only this aluminium post and this bit of timber.
There's no glass, no perspex.
They've had to add that for compliance because now it's a public building. And this handrail was actually on that side, and you can see some plug holes where they've had to repair. But now it's on this side, of course, to stop people falling off. But originally, small space, ceiling goes through, and then you end up with this double-story space, which is, you know, the lounge, but it's also, and the dining, but it's also the gallery. Beautiful little mezzanine that simply has an outlook onto the trees. There's no real purpose for that, but it is such a gorgeous space, and again, another gallery type space. When we get here, kitchen to one side, directly below the nook, above.
The fireplace. So fire and fire, hearth and hearth.
Yeah, and again, rationalising the services, but not making it part of the story of the building. So you get the kitchen directly underneath.
And you can see the sunken ceiling as well. The sunken pit becomes a drop ceiling.
Yeah. So that rug is just above us here. And then this is where the kitchen was, and that means you can line up your services through the back and just run it in exactly the same flue. Kitchen, living spaces are out that side. But if we come this way, we actually have the laundry. What I really like about this house, we've lined up our flues, we've got our wet areas are actually lined up through the building as well, but they're not treated like dirty leftover spaces. Like, look at this space. The kitchen and the laundry both look onto this space. It's also the same space that the entry looks onto. So they're given importance. They're still good quality spaces.
And that's this little swirling shape block actually divides the outside for the living spaces versus the a bit more utilitarian side of the garden as well.
And lining up with that is an external wall. So you end up with a central courtyard here and then a courtyard that relates to the dining living spaces. Because where we are, we've come on one level, we've dropped down, but look, we're on ground level. So they've designed the house with the side. It actually falls down. And then further down that way, it heads down to the river. And the house and the landscaping and the walls cascade down with it. So it really stitches in with its landscape that way. It doesn't work against or compete with the landscape.
You can see the double height there as well.
Yeah.
As the glazing goes all the way up.
Thinking in section instead of just banging the wall straight through. And then, like, seriously, this is the laundry with that beautiful outlook. You know, instead of burying them in a leftover space.
You can see the lighting though. That there currently is the new lighting, but that was the original lighting. Everything was behind timber pelmets set off the wall, so lighting was always concealed. But also anything you touch, handrails. We'll look at the furniture in a second, but also even coat hooks. Everything were just mounted on these timber pieces. Yeah. Very clever.
And just pine, so really cost effective but beautiful. And similar to what we in the Walsh Street episode, lighting that is secondary, that is concealed and bounces off the surfaces. So it's not hard on the eye, but it also lights up the surfaces. Like, seriously, I wish you guys could see his face. Like, everything lines up with a tile. Like, this lines up with the tile and then it goes back, and the glass line is exactly on a 300mm tile. Like, that's not arbitrary. And Kev's just like, oh, everything lines up. This post lines up in the middle of that tile line, and that sets the door size. You go across, what, half a dozen tiles? This is on the next post. Here.
So part of that being modular, but part of that's about proportions.
Yeah, well, it's a classical thing, isn't it? This is a very modernist house, but these are age-old rules. Even when you go up to the timber lining, the lining boards centre on those posts. The lining boards aren't cut around the blockwork either. The blockwork actually sits exactly where the boards come in. So the materials, which they've bought off the shelf, standard sizes, they've gone and measured each one of them and made sure they click together, like Lego. That takes a lot of forethought, instead of just going timber, stone, somebody build it.
All the horizontal planes in this house, including the tables, like, because it is a horizontal plane, they are the same floor tiles, the same tiles used, in this case, 3 modules, exactly 2 modules. But also the fact that you can see all the stairs, every detail, everywhere. They also express the thickness of it, that this is a thickness, rather than, you know, the typical, hey, let's butt it up against and chamfer it to look like a solid chunk. No, these are floor tiles, and that's what they are. Yeah. They're expressed with the thickness. So currently, there is an exhibition going on by
Patricia Piccinini and Alpha 60, which is awesome.
And it's here for 2 weeks only. And yeah, and it's a rare occasion. I think they only bring it out every few years. The original furniture by the original architects, designed specifically for the space. So everything fits how the palette, the materials, the construction, exactly. So you just watch this video just now, get your ass down here.
Yeah, it's running out of time. I think it's middle of March. And it is worth seeing. Many exhibitions that happen here, the work so often is great, but it dominates the space.
Yeah.
Or it changes the nature of the space. So this is one of the rare ones where you can see the original intent while enjoying the remarkable work. Dining area, 2-story void, living room space, just a little nib that defines this space, and then the connection to the outside. So as mentioned before, the glass line is on the grid of the tiles, but it could be anywhere. Like, look where the materials keep going to. They just keep sailing outside. Even this stone bench keeps sailing outside. You can chuck a barbecue out there. So this is one of the few spaces where the boundary wall doesn't stop you from looking directly into the landscape, doesn't contain you. And that's because that's the living space, so you want to be able to spill into the greater landscape. But look at what they've done with the stone wall. A single stone, and then to bring it up to a 450 standard bench height, they've added timber on top, so a softer material, just like the handrails that we've seen everywhere, a softer material that is nicer to touch. And then you're out in the landscape, but you're also connected with the living space. Now, that is north. So we're looking into the gardens the sun. But look what they've done with this facade. It's a 2-story glass facade, but it's also sun protected. So things like sustainability, this is a hugely sustainable house. Huge thermal mass, optimizing passive solar gain, so lots of winter sun going in and hitting those tiles, but then no summer sun. But it's not made into a song and dance. What's happening first and foremost is good quality space with lots of beautiful controlled light. Sustainability is embedded through really good, well-worn design thinking. And then look at the complexity of these outdoor spaces. So instead of being like the standard Australian home, which is backyard equals big bifolding doors and a timber deck, there's this incredible procession of spaces, incredibly hearty spaces. Where the water gets near the house, it's actually soil, so you can get rid of that water as well. And then subtle changes of level that are about sitting in with the landscape, because again, we're rising back up the hill here. Sneaky, where does that go, Kev?
The cellar.
The cellar. It's unlocked. Do you reckon there's any like kick-ass wine from the 60s?
We need to stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Oh, it's locked. It's locked. Mission abort.
All right. See ya. You're locked. See ya.
Okay. Come on. Help me. Or I could just walk around this
Are you
way.
coming back out?
Hey? I could just walk around.
Oh yeah, hello.
And so then that courtyard comes into another beautiful courtyard, another series of walls. So huge walls for the house, and then much more human scale walls here. And then you come and you get really squished. The compression and the openness are great in this place. And you're getting squished, and guess what happens when you come here? You're back out into the landscape. Wait, that way?
Yeah, go that way.
Oh, so anybody that knows my work knows that I like playful houses. Some people accuse me of just being a kid, but I think the kids are like more in touch with joy and fun. We kind of lose that stuff and we give it away when we become adults. This is just another example of a very mature house where you know you can have fun. Like imagine kids here playing through these ruinous types of spaces. There's so many ways to get through and around and navigate, which are so joyful. And you would never have, I don't think you'd ever have those discussions like you do in so many houses of like, kids, get outside and go play in the garden. It's like, you know, you're always going to find yourself somewhere between inside and outside in this house.
So these walls also provide privacy, especially to the bedrooms.
Yeah,
and the shower space. Want to show us the shower?
Well, yes. So this little courtyard, which you could definitely landscape if you wanted to protect it a little bit more, this is really tightly enclosed. And then that's the shower, right there. So you can be in there and you've just got garden on the outside. And this is something we work with a lot with our clients, is saying, have a shower, you spend some of your most thoughtful time each morning in the shower and have it connected with outdoor space. And it's okay, we'll make it private. But instead of dealing with privacy here and making the space feel tiny, let's deal with the privacy out here. That's what this house does so well, and that's where the big lessons are. And then back to the entry, which is down there.
All that glass is new, that was added for compliance, but before that.
Yeah, so kids could be scooting under there, jumping over there, parkour.
So let's go back in again. There's a little courtyard here, a bit of sculpture, framed, and then a different direction and seeing it from different angle.
This is just one of these ones where you could just draw or even walk so many different ways of navigating it. I love that. It's so porous, but it feels protected at the same time.
And going different directions is a different experience altogether as well.
Absolutely. This has so many personalities. It's a simple set of rules, materials, but depending on the weather, the time of year, the spaces you're in, it has a very different personality. So we come back in the entry, we went that way to the nook and the fireplace. We're going this way, which is?
The sleeping quarters.
And then so this is the private spaces. This is the bedroom spaces. So we descend down into them again, following the landscape.
And beautiful wall just to screen as well, just for a little bit of privacy.
Beautiful wall.
And it doesn't touch the ceiling.
Bedroom? What was this side?
That's the study bedroom.
Study bedroom. Oh, yeah. Oh, and more of Patricia's work. So at the moment, they're selling these amazing rugs, but look at, oh my God, Patricia's work is amazing.
But this was the daybed that you could sort of sit back on. But the drawer unit there, you see it doesn't touch the wall on other side. Yeah, that was the original.
And have a look at this. It doesn't touch the wall again. So light gets to splash in, splash off the floor there. Plenty of passive solar, so winter sun gets to heat the floor.
And that low wall continues out, and as if it supports the portico. Yeah.
Yeah. And the portico, again, blurring inside and outside, comes in one extra bay, and then that hides the
becomes the
roller blinds.
pelmet. Yeah.
Yeah. So clever. Oh, and so that's the cellar under there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. The baby's sleeping. Shh. Circulation, natural light at the end of circulation. So a door, but let's make it a glass door. And then we've got robe, the bathroom we looked at before.
We'll go in there in a second.
Original bed.
Yeah. But look at that detail too.
Oh, so this is, I don't understand bedside tables. You end up with all this crap next to your head. I actually love this. Like, put the GPOs behind the bed where it hides, and then you put all this stuff behind. Books. I bet you their iPhones in 1963 were sitting right here. Yeah?
Bzz, bzz.
But what I like about this type of thinking, this deep thinking, is you can have a look at this stuff and get into it instead of just doing what you do in most buildings, which is go, nobody thought about it. They just went, bida bing, bida bang.
Bida bing, bida bang, bida boom.
Bada boom. Lilo Dallas.
Oh, look at that.
You turn and you're back out into a courtyard again. You've got this wall that just continues out into the landscape. The portico that comes through again. The containment of this space, and then there just happens to be a glass wall here.
And there's that thickness again as a tile, the horizontal planes.
Yep. What's interesting again about this is that feels like a bigger space, and then this is a glass partition, which the ceiling goes through, and that's the toilet in there.
So it borrows light into.
Exactly. There's
the
no
toilet.
window in the toilet, and there's a single door. So this slides across to close off the shower, giving you privacy from somebody in here, and that'll then open up the toilet. Because how often are you using both? And if you are, at least one person's private.
Love the lighting.
The lighting.
That's the original lighting there.
Exactly the same detail as the awnings, the porticos outside. Really simple, cheap material, pine, and then it's just a simple bit of perspex or glass with a fluoro above. Like, that's really cost effective. And it's on sort of theme, and it's mature and beautiful.
And the mirror makes it look like it continues and wider than it is.
Yeah, this is one thing we always do in our work, put where you can put mirror behind natural light so it feels like it keeps going. And it feels like the back of that wall. Like, you have a look at where that stone is there, you have a look at where the splashback is, but guess what? There's actually storage behind that. There's depth. So the entry, looking straight through to courtyard, living spaces, bedroom spaces. As we leave, what's interesting is this is very much like Robin Boyd's Walsh Street house. There's the episode. There's a different wing for the kids. You know, it's covered. If it rains, they're only going to get a little tiny bit wet. But, you know, when it's party time, kids go to bed. By the sound of it, their son only stayed here for a short time, and then it was used as a guest suite as well. But there's something really lovely about that separation. You know, kids can go and play and do their things, that they're forced to walk outside between in each space, but also you don't know it's there. There's something about it that just forms part of this entry procession, but that's where you have this other part of the house.
Which is now the offices.
Yeah, lucky them.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do a lap of the house. So, you've got to come here. Like, it is so gorgeous, and it can only be experienced. Like so much great architecture, it can only really be experienced, not filmed or photographed. There are cool resources. RMIT's done a good VR of this. Now, when you come here, Google will tell you to go along the Eastern Freeway. we don't recommend you do that. So A, we'd say ride your bike if you're good on a bike. Public transport's good, it forces you to walk through the park to get here. But if you do drive, which is thoroughly unsustainable, but if you do, don't take the freeway, actually take Heidelberg Road, which is the road they used to take to get from Melbourne out here. And what's really interesting about that is not only is it a lovely road in a way, but it also shows a corridor of growth. Like around the 40s, 50s, 60s, that's where a lot of these houses built up. And you'll see remarkable houses, early 20th century houses, and you can see red brick tiles, beautiful lacework, but this was built at roughly the same time as many of them. So instead of just sort of disappearing out of Melbourne, going on a freeway and turning up, you can see, you get this history lesson along the way.
So definitely make sure you walk around the outside.
Just
because this elevation is pretty epic.
And do yourself a favour, down below is a PDF link to Kevin's plan. There aren't actually plans that really legibly draw what's going on here. They sort of muddy it up a little bit. He's actually wearing it right now on his boobies. But what's really legible about it, he's drawn it so you know what's a solid wall, you know what's interior, you know what's exterior because interior is grey, and you know it's at a lower level. So when you're at these higher levels, that's the wall below. So PDF is in the link below. Download it. So if you do come here, bring the Archimarathon plan, or just buy a t-shirt. Do what Kevin's been doing all day, because we didn't bring a plan. So he's been going, so right now, we've been talking to the staff, and they're just trying to pay attention to him, and while he's going, well, if you look at my left nipple. So sustainability again. This is the western elevation. So big dense planting, big bits of thermal mass protecting the interior of the space.
And no windows.
That's the no windows. And then that's the southern elevation. This is where you're leaking heat. So in winter, heat's trying to come out there. What have they done? Like, it's a bright and airy building. Predominantly the glazing is facing north, where you can control the sun, and the openings are there with smaller openings to the south, so you can get great vacuum and through breezes. These are basic things. Basic things in any house that's a lot of houses don't, well, a lot of buildings don't seem to be getting right. This is a series of sophisticated overlapping 3D spaces. Look at the plan. But also, like so many good houses, god damn it, they look good orthogonally. They look good drawn in elevation. It's not meant to be experienced this way as a flat elevation, but
this is probably the most heroic shot you can get of the space, and it's not that special looking. It's beautifully composed, but it's not a hero shot.
No. Solidity, void, lightness. It's beautiful.